Well, Matt's sigh was perfect for what I was gonna say first, because we were just chatting before, and what I was thinking about before we hopped on is I think this is our first episode since the World Series and the election. Is that right? Or did we have one after the World Series?
I was wondering the same thing, and I meant to look it up. Definitely not
Because
since the election, but
yeah,
uh,
and
let
because
me
what I
look.
was going to say is essentially, even if we did one since the World Series, we might end up talking about that again. And that combined with the election, I was just going to say we need to be careful because we don't want our listeners hanging in the closet by the end of the episode. So
Yeah, we have not. We
we
have not
haven't.
podcasted since October 24th.
Yeah. So the
So
World
the day
Series and
before.
the election have both happened since we last recorded. Yeah. So we gotta tread carefully here.
I mean, some of
So
our listeners are happy one way or the other that baseball's over. So
that's true,
know.
and happy that the Yankees lost.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay,
yeah.
so if you guys want to get the Yankees over with first, I actually have something really fun that I could lead us off with. Cool with that?
Yeah. Let's
Oh
do
yeah.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So Fox had a really cool graphic today. MLB's active home run leader, Stanton's number one with 429. It's got the top 10. It's Stanton, Trout, Goldie, Freeman, Machado, Arenado, Harper, JD Martinez, Carlos Santana, and Andrew McCutcheon. So it goes
Holy
from
shit.
429 G at the top to 319. That's what Kutch has. And it's the question on this post is who on this list will finish with the most. Well, my brain automatically went to how is Judge not on this list, and so I looked it up really quickly, and he
You're what,
just
318?
misses. He's 315.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got 315. And so my question is, how many people, like who on that list? Again, I'll tell you: Stanton, Trout, Goldie, Freeman, Machado, Arenado, Harper, Martinez, Santana, and Kutch. Who on that list ends up with more home runs than Judge, if anyone?
Um. So this is a good one. First of all, I just want to say Goldie is third. That's wild. That shocked.
362.
That shocked me. And actually, wasn't Freeman fourth? That kind of shocked me too.
343.
Yeah. Wow. So obviously, the biggest caveat that we should just get out of the way is, of course, it depends entirely on Judge's ability to stay somewhat healthy throughout the rest of his 30s. If he can stay healthy enough that he even averages 120 to 130 games per season through the rest of his contract, I think he blows everyone out of the water. I think he gets to like 600 probably easy. But if he doesn't, if he has a few years where he plays 140, 150 games, and then his body breaks down and he's, more like Trouty as he gets into his mid 30s and later, that completely changes the question. My mind goes to me if I were going to like place a bet, and again also depends on health, but his team has put him in position to be healthy. I would say Harper. By being a first baseman, I think he has a better chance to play healthy or to stay healthy. He's still pretty young, obviously plenty of power. If anyone, I would say him. And I would say out of the 10 that are listed, not including Judge, I would say I also might bet on Harper to end up being number one overall from that 10, and
Wow.
then potentially beating Judge depending on health. That's my gut instinct, just thinking about it immediately, but very curious.
So to clarify, you have Harper finishing with more home runs than Stan,
I think so.
and then Judge would be third on.
Judge, if Judge stays healthy, he's number one, no problem. If he gets hurt a bunch, I think he's second or third. Harper is, what is Harper right now? Harper's 32.
He's got
Harper is
336.
180 days younger than Judge.
That's what I was going to ask. I was going to try to find out. I knew they were close. I couldn't remember who was younger. Okay, so 180 days, they're essentially the same age. But The Yankees just put Judge through an entire season at center field. Harper has been a full-time first baseman for the last 2 seasons already. Is that right?
At least, yeah.
Right. And so let's see. So Harper is 32. He had 42. Excuse me. He had 30 homers this year. He averages 33 per 162 games. I mean, yeah, playing first base, staying relatively healthy. A lot of these guys can keep their power decently well while they age, even if other stuff goes away. I think it's really reasonable to think that Harper will end up in the upper half of 500, right? Like 550 and above.
Well, think about this though. If they have their same seasons next year that they did this year, Judge will have passed Harper.
Right. No, of course. And that's the thing. And that's what I mean. Like if Judge stays healthy, even for 5 years, let alone for the rest of the contract, if he stays healthy for 5 years, he blows everyone out of the water. And it's like we've talked about. And actually, I was telling this to Yulia. Yulia watched the World Series with me. It was kind of fun. She was actually at least feigning interest in the World Series. But what I was explaining about how miraculous Aaron Judge is, and also G in his way too, about how you would be hard pressed to find anyone in history who makes home runs look so easy and who does it so effortlessly, right? And especially Judge. I mean, Ruth, but we don't have those videos to watch, you know. But like when we watch Judge now and Stanton, I mean Stanton, it's a little different because his swing is so fast and violent. But Judge's swing, even though the bat speed is up there, it doesn't look as violent. Judge's swing is like smooth. It's a thing of beauty. It's like it's a work of fucking art. And like when he's on, we watch him hit homers. It looks like he's barely touching it, and it goes 440 feet. Like he is a miracle in that way. And so yeah, if he stays healthy, like I say, I think 600. I think he approaches 700. Maybe if he stays healthy enough, maybe he even gets to 700. You never know. But yeah, that question of like how, because we don't know, he's kind of unprecedented. How will a 6'7", 280 athlete age with the everyday rigors of baseball? We don't know. We haven't seen this before. So it could be that he shocks us and pulls a Randy Johnson and that he is great through his 30s, you know. Or it could be that he has like 1 or 2 more good years and then he's fucking Trouty and G for the rest of his career, you know? So it's like a huge question mark in my mind.
Yeah. And Matt, before you get into any more of what you want to say, just so people know, excluding the COVID season, Judge averages 121 games played per season over his career. And again, excluding that COVID season, he averages 39 home runs per season. So, you know, you can... You'd want to say, like you said, Ethan, probably at least 1 or 2 more years where you're thinking, okay, if he's healthy, he's got 40 or 50 bangers.
Yeah, I think he hits 50 once or twice more if he stays healthy. Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, how much does that... Because like you said, he could shock us. And this is where I'm always like, I mean, I loved Randy Johnson, but I'm also like, was he on steroids? Because the science is pretty clear that the first thing to go is power. And for Randy Johnson to be throwing as hard as he was in his 40s, you know, it was pretty clear with Clemens, but for whatever reason, it's not been talked about in the same way with Randy.
But think of the way, you know, Ethan describes Judge's swing as fluid and effortless, right? Think of Randy's problem wasn't his arm, it was his back. Right, Randy was all just slingshot arm action, just bleh. So
and he didn't bulk up the same way Roger did either. So it's possible when I think of Randy and PEDs, I assume he did stuff. I just assume he did more like Andy Pettit, like the HGH and shit, like the stuff to work out longer, recover quicker, blah blah blah. Like he never bulked up the way, at least unless I'm misremembering. No, right? He never like the way Clemens and Bonds and Sosa and McGuire did. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just I would be hard pressed to like make a serious bet and say that Judge is going to maintain serious power throughout the remainder of his 8 years on his contract.
But if he hits 50 if he stays healthy and he hits 50 the next year or two, and then he's healthy-ish and he hits 40 for another year or two, and then if he's not aging, so he's he's getting a little less healthy, he probably can still hit 30 every year for the next few years.
Hi,
So I mean,
Toddy.
hey Toddy. So
Have fun drinking your magnesium.
So like that should adds up, right? If he hits 50 twice more, that already puts him at 415. He hits 40 once or twice, we're already in the vicinity of 500. He hits 30 a couple more times, even if he's not that healthy. Judge can absolutely get up there if he doesn't lose like whole seasons. So we'll see. But Matt, what was your answer though to the original question of this list here?
I don't know. How old's Machado?
He's about Harper's age, no? Harper and Judge.
Machado was the same age as Soto is now.
Yeah, Machado is 32. He was born in July of 92. Harper was born in October of 92. So Machado's 3 months older.
He's between
than Harper.
Yeah, he's halfway between
Judge
and Harper.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me check one more. Freeman's 35. Yeah, I think
Machado has been remarkably consistent, hitting just about 30 to 35 homers basically every year of his career. Really consistent.
Maybe he's the next Hank Aaron.
Yeah, kind of like that. It's impressive, actually. And he hits a lot of doubles.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Judge would have to be my bet.
And San Diego's a good hitting park, right?
No, isn't San Diego notoriously bad, right?
It's a pitcher's park, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. All right, I don't know if it's as bad as San Fran. We would have to look at the data to see. I mean, I think that Petco has been consistently a pitcher's park, but I also know that it can change year to year. Like I remember I was reading a while back, and like Yankee Stadium a few years ago was a great hitter's park, but in the last couple of years has been like very much neutral. So it can change.
That short
porch. Well, remember that's normalized. So if there are other more hitter-friendly parks that come into play, or for example, if you plop Soto, Judge, and Petco's going to feel like a lot more of a hitter's park just based on the fact that you guys have a lot more people there hitting home runs. So,
like
the one that breaks that mold is, Boston and Colorado and Cincinnati are pretty regularly up top, but I always consider the others kind of fluid. Now, Petco is 28th out of 30 in terms of park factor. So,
yeah.
And the worst is T-Mobile Park. The Mariners.
Which one is T-Mobile again? Mariners.
Mariners, yeah.
What about, I thought, is San Fran 29th? Because we always hear about
San Fran is 23rd.
Oh, wow. Because we always hear about San Fran being, like, so horrible, I feel like.
Yeah, so...
And that's not great, but that's not horrible.
It is bad for home runs, but better for doubles, and off the chart better for triples.
Yeah,
like the only parks that are better for triples are Chase Field, Kauffman Field, and Coors.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I'll be very curious to see, because one of the things, like with free agency, we know that the Giants have made some big runs in recent years, including for Judge, and we'll see if they make a big run for Soto. But I wonder how much of a role that plays, knowing that their homer numbers are going to go down if they go to this team.
Well, I mean,
hey,
unless you're like worried about breaking the record, like you've already secured the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the stats on this Park Factors leaderboard is called Bacon. Anyone know what that means?
I do not. Like BACON?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Cast Bacon. Oh, it's Richard Bacon. In baseball, Bacon is a StatCast measure that measures a catcher's skill at preventing pass balls or wild pitches compared to other catchers.
Oh, okay. Also, Paul Goldschmidt has been like really good for a long time and really consistent.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe it's just because he was in Arizona, but like Kyle, he came up like when we were living together, basically.
Yep.
I don't remember like hearing about him at all. I mean, granted, my memory is not the best, but
No,
man,
it was the
No,
Diamondbacks thing. Like even if
yeah,
he was with the Cardinals his whole career, he'd be more well known.
yeah.
I only know that he was that good because he was a perennial fantasy baseball pick of mine for a while back when I did fantasy baseball.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. Really good. Yeah. 892 career OPS, 139 OPS plus. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
He already has 62 baseball reference WAR, 62.8. I mean, he's already in the Hall of Fame realm as far as WAR goes, at least. Yeah. Wow. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
what was your answer on it, Kyle?
I think G and Harper are the two that I would say might end up ahead of him. Again, depending on health and everything,
Yeah.
but out of all those people on the list, I mean, if you're going to ask me to pick one, I'm going to take the one that's not on the list. I'm going to take Judge.
Yeah. Right.
to finish with the highest, but
yeah. Man,
so.
I hope so. But like, I remember, didn't you bring it up on the last pod, or one of the last two, or was it in the texting? I think it was on the pod where wasn't there? I can't remember the question or the scenario, but you had asked like, was it maybe Jake, Jake or Greg or something, and they were like, well, if it was a couple of years ago, I would have chosen Trouty. Oh, wasn't it like, yeah, like in the World Series or whatever, like some clutch situation,
top of the ninth, you have to score.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah.
And like, and I remember you commenting, and it's absolutely true. It's wild how much he has fallen out of our sort of consciousness just by being hurt so often these last few years.
Yeah.
And so like the huge fear is that the same thing happens to Judge. You know what I mean? I mean, that would just be devastating for not just for us as Yankee fans, but just for baseball in general, right? So we just gotta, please, Yankees, come to your senses and put him maybe in right field for like one more year if you have to, and then just fucking put him at first base already, or trade G and put him at DH, something.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. Let's see what happens with Soto, and then we can get more into that.
Yeah, but I would love to get Judge out of the outfield though.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of Judge, obviously he was the catalyst for we got to talk about at least the fifth inning of Game 5 of the World Series. And I mean, I told you guys in the text, the sloppiest baseball I think I've ever seen, period. I felt so bad for Garrett Cole, even before. And I've somebody was I forget who, just the other day was asking me about it, and the whole, obviously he did not cover first base, and that was a mistake. And I think deep down he knows that it's going to bother him. Hopefully he comes back motivated, and hopefully they'll get another shot one day. But his whole the presser where he tried to pull the Roger Clemens type thing, where he was like, I thought the ball was something else, or like
misread it or whatever.
Yeah, like I just think he was toast. Like I think he was just mentally and physically exhausted by the time that ground ball happened. Run
faster than Garrett Cole ran to first.
Run faster than Garrett Cole.
A sign at the New York Marathon.
Oh, wow. God, that's brutal.
Wow.
I mean, Kyle, I would say I definitely agree with the mentally part. I mean, physically, he came back and he pitched well in the sixth, and at least for the he got those first two outs in the seventh. Well, so yeah, physically, he still had something. Huh?
But he got rest after
he got some rest, but I agree, though. I think the mental thing, I think that's, if I had to guess and speculate, and I'm thinking about it from like, from a musician standpoint, one of the things that we all try to do in music, at least in classical music, but I would assume in other styles as well, is you try, one of my teachers talked about it, he called it present time. And the idea is that you always stay in the moment, that no matter if something happens and it's good or it's bad, you have to immediately forget it and stay in the moment. So like in music, say you play something and it goes amazing and you're really happy about it. You cannot dwell on it, because then you're going to fuck something up that's coming up. Or Conversely, if you play something horrible, you can't dwell on it because there's still a whole bunch of music left and you got to do that as best you can. And if you dwell on the shit you fucked up, you're just going to keep fucking up. Right. And my thought watching this and thinking about it was that Cole was going through the exact same thing and that he, in this case, just could not stay in present time. And I get it. He, it's game 5 of the World Series. He's playing for his childhood favorite team. It's the biggest start of his life. I mean, the situation is unfathomable to people like us. And so my thought is he was just in his head. And he just, he knows to cover first base. He's been running that drill his entire fucking life, not just his professional life, his entire life. He knows. He fucked it up because he was in his head. He was beating himself up. He was probably motherfucking his teammates a little bit too. Judge, how did you drop that ball? Volpe, what the fuck was that throw? Whatever. He was in his head. That was my take on it.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate, and it's unfortunate because as a Yankee fan, they obviously had some sense of momentum, before all of that, and you could very clearly.
Was the drop before that play? Judge's drop, or am I
it was
mixing up?
The first error of the
right.
So,
but then he got out of it, right? The bases were like loaded. He struck out 2 guys, and then if he had covered first on this play,
yeah, it would have been over
with no runs.
Yeah, no runs.
So the Volpe throw and the Judge drop were both before, and he would have gotten himself out of it. 2 strikeouts and a weak grounder to first. He fucking did it, and then he forgot to cover. Sorry, Kyle, continue.
Yeah. No, that it's good context for people who don't, know what happened fully, and the thing that sucks the most is, do they get another shot? Does Judge get another shot? Does Cole get another shot?
Yeah, I'm not convinced, to be honest with you.
How hard it was for them to get there, in the first place.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to take anything away from the Dodgers. Obviously a great team. I love teams that spend money and have depth and can do the things that they do. And I'll just pat myself on the shoulder. That column I wrote for Yardbarker about the Guardians and small market teams crying poor got in October alone got 5,000 views, which is by far the most.
Oh hell yeah! That's fantastic. And really quickly, Kyle, to add to that, and Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but Molly Knight was writing about this recently as well, and a bunch of the ownership groups, and maybe I can't remember if you wrote about this in the column or not. A bunch of the ownership groups who cry poor and who are in the quote unquote smaller markets are actually the richest ones. They are the ones with the greatest level of wealth. And I believe Cleveland is up there, aren't they, Matt? I'm pretty sure that the Guardians ownership group is up there in terms of overall wealth. Yeah. So a lot of these teams are just, a lot of these teams are fucking like full of shit with that.
I think the only one that sticks out that's really not a gazillionaire is the Red Zoner. He's only like a half billionaire.
Only, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, but if you look at it, like, that means the majority of his wealth is the team.
Right.
Like, right, when you factor in how rich, Hal Steinbrenner is, it's because, well, $5 billion of that his wealth is the Yankees. So
yeah. Right, sure.
MLB
anyway, not
owner.
taking anything away from the Dodgers. I thought it was I don't want to say a good series necessarily. I stayed up. I don't even remember. Were you guys up when Nestor gave up the homer to Freeman?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I watched it live with Yulia. Yep.
Yeah. And that was even worse than that game 3 against Cleveland. And it just shows you, I mean, every little moment and how lucky you have to get, with these different things. So I hope they can run it back. I have some serious concerns that I think we could talk about in a future podcast, but I definitely enjoyed the run. I don't want to discount that. It was fun. I won't forget it. And it just just leaves you with a little of a bitter taste, just knowing if they had just gotten swept, and kind of, even after the game one heroics and everything, it probably would have hurt a little bit less. It would have been like, okay, whatever. Dodgers were just the better team, but there was that crack they left open.
Should have won game 1 and should have won game 5. Should have been up 3-2, right? If you think of it that way. But I agree with you, Kyle. Like for me, if anything, if the modern baseball playoff format has taught me anything, it's that, and I mean, we kind of already knew this, but I think we know it even more now. Our childhood was a crazy fluke, winning 6 pennants in, what was it, 7 years or whatever?
8 seasons.
8 year. Yeah, 6 pennants in 8 seasons, and 4 titles. And so winning our first pennant, going to the World Series for the first time in 15 years, like, I'm happy. I'm like very happy. For me, it was a great season, a successful season. Totally agree. The World Series leaves a bitter taste because they fucking blew it in a couple cases where it just didn't need to be that way. They fucking blew it, But I agree with you. Serious concerns. I'm sure as the offseason goes on and teams start making trades and signing free agents, I'm sure we'll talk plenty about that.
I had something appropriate and related to say, and I got sucked into this list of wealthy team owners.
That's all good. I'm sure it'll come back to you.
Shit.
Yeah. But
thank God we can move on from that.
From the World Series?
Yep.
Yeah. Was your dad texting you at all during it and complaining about, the modern Yankees? And no? Okay, all right.
Nah.
Okay, because I could picture that.
Yeah, I'm sure he was thinking it. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I didn't have to deal with it, thankfully.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
So what else? Was there anything else on the docket for either of you guys?
I think that depends on if you want to take us down the road of.
It's
the Giants' new theme music.
Okay, before I get sued.
The Giants, as in the New York Giants, Matthew?
Yes. Uh-huh. So you want to talk about Giants?
So, well, okay. I'm gonna comment really quickly. Obviously, everybody knows who listens that I know by far the least about football compared to you guys. My days of following it closely were over a decade ago. However, Matt in one of our text threads sent us a clip the other day of Daniel Jones with like 5 full seconds in the pocket of beautiful blocking, and there was no pressure on him at all. And the throw he made, oh my goodness, it was atrocious. I will say though, I was on Facebook, the video. This is one of the very few times where I was glad that I looked at the comment section, because there were some really funny zingers in there. I can't remember the specifics, but there were some like really funny lines that people had come up with. But holy shit, was that was pretty ugly.
I mean, I got used to seeing that in Cleveland, but
yeah,
and also I can't pick on just the Giants. I am happy to see the Jets as a garbage fire.
Yeah, what the fuck? What happened to Aaron Rodgers? He's not aging the way his rival Brady is.
Too much ayahuasca, not enough ayahuasca. I don't know. Not
enough vaccines. He has long COVID.
Too much going on the Pat Dick Faces show.
Yeah. Jesus. Yeah.
I don't
crazy.
know. Yeah. But whatever. Fuck him. Yep. Jordan Love, baby.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I'm going with this. Even the Packers.
So, let me ask you guys this. Well, and Kyle especially, because I think you still pay a decent amount of attention to the Giants. I keep seeing speculation on like various websites or whatever that even though the Giants just signed Jones to a 4-year, $160 million fucking extension, that they're going to get a high draft pick next year, right? They're one of the 2 worst teams in the NFL right now. So as long as they aren't stupid and win a few games in these next few games, just fucking lose out. Get the first or second pick. I've been seeing chatter that they're going to try to get a franchise quarterback, maybe Shadur Sanders from right near me, right? And I don't know enough to know if that's like a smart move or not. But I mean, it's interesting to me. I understand this is how the NFL works, but like, I mean, fuck, they just gave him that huge extension and already like, okay, we're going to move on and just and draft a new person. Like, I mean, we'll see. It might not happen, but
that was the whole point when they gave him the extension, is that he shouldn't have gotten the extension.
Right. People were shocked at the time, right?
Like,
I mean, I remember being surprised.
Despite all good NFL, knowledge and indicators saying prioritize a quarterback over the running back, and running backs are, like paper towels, use them and throw them away. They should have given that money to Saquon, right? Like this makes no sense. Like, I'm gonna go look at his stats the year before they gave him that contract, because that just it baffles me. Why? I mean, I can remember not understanding when they did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They couldn't have been anything better than average.
Well, and wasn't he a controversial pick as well?
Mm-hmm.
Weren't people? I remember
we're 6 overall.
Yeah, and weren't people really surprised? Like, he was not expected to go that high, right? Like, other quarterbacks were expected to go before him.
It's like they thought they could clone Manning.
Uh-huh.
And they obviously cannot.
Yeah.
Was he even that great at Duke? Like, I don't remember that. Like,
all it is frame. It's just frame potential. That's why he got picked so high.
Right. 6'5", 220, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, at this point, it's like, okay, well, it's clearly not there.
Also, like I think frame is dumb. Like, Drew Brees has a shitty frame. Like, Rex Grossman made he's not great, but he made, who cares about his frame? Patrick Mahomes has got a tiny little frame. Kyler Murray's got a tiny... Kyler Murray, like, look up the meme, when it talks about Kyler Murray scrambling. Looks like the baby who just took away the remote and is running away from dad. Like, just looks like he's got little baby legs running out there. Like,
yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not saying it's frame, right. I'm just saying that's
reflective of the Maras and thinking that it's 1940.
But it's not just the Giants. It's college football teams. It's NFL teams. That is how they make. It's not the
shitty
only
ones
thing they make projections off of, but. I think it happens in every sport. They look at a player and they're like, okay, like this player could fill out this way because of their frame, and this is how good they can be as a result of that. Again, you have to remember you're talking about 21, 22-year-old kids. They're not fully developed yet, so there is a certain gamble, to it all. I think a little bit more than people want to admit, but. The Giants have just been such a clusterfuck of an organization. They're like a family who doesn't have like any values and just does like whatever they want by this, because it's like cool, or because somebody told them to do it, or whatever it is. Like, the Giants have no values. They have values like posted on their wall. I saw it, in the Hard Knocks thing, but they don't actually live those values. They have nothing that front office. Like, if Mara actually had values, he would have told them, sign fucking Saquon, because he was so pissed when Saquon left. It's like, you can't have it both ways. You just can't do it. You have to have the conviction. And like, Steinbrenner's a really good comp in these type of situations, whether it was right or wrong. At least he had the conviction to be like, no, this is the person we're getting. This is what we're doing. And both ways can end up fucked up, obviously. But to not have any values, to not have any conviction from your leadership, has to be just demoralizing for the players. Like, to not know what tomorrow is going to bring, if Daniel Jones is going to start, or what the deal is. Like, and they get a lot of coverage because they're Giants and they're in. But I mean, this is how it is in Cleveland right now. I mean, so many teams go through this on a year-to-year basis in every single sport. And it's like corporate America. There's many more mediocre companies out there than there are competent ones, like the Chiefs or like the Patriots were, or like the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Celtics and everything. It's much
Packers.
easier to.
I will say on that note, Kyle, that as much of a shit show as it is, and like losing to the Panthers this last weekend was like a real eye opener. I will say I would much rather have Daniel Jones on 160 million than Deshaun Watson on 230 million. So I still would rather take that over the fucking Browns. And
Yeah,
who is it, Matt?
but
Jimmy
that's like-
Haslam or whatever?
The Haslams, yeah, but that's like giant douche or turd sandwich. Like, well, you get to that point, and it's like,
yeah, but in this case, the whichever one Deshaun Watson is quite a lot worse because how many sexual assault
I'm just saying,
allegations is
26 or 32 or something.
yeah, right. Like we're well into the 20s at this point.
I'm just saying you're at the bottom end. You're at the worst of the worst right there.
True, that's true.
But
I mean, that's what happens when you elect a felon who has 34
felonies, convicted felonies,
and that's how you end up with Matt Gaetz as your attorney general, possibly.
Yep. Possibly, yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
what are you guys drinking?
Giants are a laughing stock. Oh yeah, we didn't actually talk about that. Matt, you're going to be disappointed in me. So my partner and I have been, and you may, I don't know, Matt, if you saw earlier, if you saw the label, you probably already know what I'm having, or even the color. Matt probably knows just from the color of the label.
I saw a glimpse of your can, but no, I missed it. So, it's okay. Yeah. Does it still taste okay or no?
It actually does taste okay still. So my
partner
and I have made a concerted effort over the past couple of months to lower our drinking. Right, we're trying to have maybe a couple of drinks a week, basically 2-3 drinks a week, and so anyway, so these lovely beers that Matt sent me for my birthday, these IPAs, they got older than they should have. Had it been previous to our decision, I would have had one per night. I would have drank them all immediately. But in any case, this is one of the ones Matt sent me for my birthday that I talked about already on the pod. Other half giant possibility. And actually, surprisingly, I mean, this can's probably a couple months old at this point, Matt, would be my guess. It doesn't have... Actually, it's even older. It's 3 months old.
Yeah.
3 months old. And actually, you know what? For a hazy 3 months old, it actually still tastes okay. So
yeah. Isn't like 3 months the cutoff?
I thought 1 to 2, Matt.
I won't buy them for myself if they're older than a month.
If they're older than a month, you won't.
Yeah, unless it's a brewery I really trust, and then I won't send them to anyone if they're older than 2 months.
Okay, yeah. So for you, like 2 is really a max.
Yeah.
And 1 for yourself. Yeah. So, but shockingly, it tastes okay. Yeah, I will say, Matt, we had the last heady topper a couple of nights ago, and even that was a couple months old, and not great, but not terrible. It did have a little bit of that. What's that flavor? We've talked about it before, and I still have not come up with a good word for it. You always suggest words for it. Yeah, that's one way to say it, I guess. Yeah, maybe that's I think we're talking about the same thing. There was a little bit of that, but it wasn't terrible. Yeah.
I mean, I trust Alchemist. I trust Other Half. I trust Treehouse to have good canning procedures and get you as much life out. Basically eliminate as much oxygen as you can from those beers.
Right.
So.
Yeah. What do you guys
okay
got?
Though. I for the second time now in recent memory on the podcast pulled out a bottle from my cellar that is past its prime, and I'm disappointed in this one.
Oh no! Yeah, that happened just like
2 in a row.
Yeah, last time you said that one had gone bad. It had gone. What was the word you used? Had it just gone?
It was infected.
It was infected.
And so is this one.
So what's this one? Tell us about it. Yeah.
So this is from a place outside of St. Louis called Main and Mill, in Festus, Missouri, about an hour south of St. Louis. That kind of burst on the scene 4 or 5 years ago with their Jafforia Peanut Butter Stout.
Okay.
So this is a chocolate peanut butter Jafforia with hazelnuts.
What? Okay, am I an idiot? Like, is Jafforia a thing I should know what it is?
It's like Jif.
Oh, I see. Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Like Jif peanut butter.
Euphoria,
Okay.
Jif Euphoria.
Plus Jif.
Like,
Got it. Okay, that's cool. All right, yeah.
And so I should have, peanut butter is notoriously a bad aging adjunct.
Oh,
Either
okay.
it goes away and you don't taste it at all, or this happens. I sat on it and I'm angry at myself now. But I was excited because I opened it and you still smell the toasted hazelnuts, and I was like, all right, it's still good. And unfortunately, it did sour. There is something in there because upon tasting it, it almost tastes like peanut butter and jelly, but in a tangy, sour way. Like there's a fruity note to it that's not supposed to be there. That's not good. So that's another drain pour. Unfortunately, I am going through these older stouts. Right, I'm getting them out of the cellar. I'm down to like my last case of other half of Jackie O's beers, which is kind of remarkable for me. So
yeah, that's Jackie O's is out of. Are they Cleveland or just Ohio somewhere? I can't
Southern
remember.
Ohio, Athens, Ohio.
Athens.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Athens. Okay, like Athens, Georgia.
Hour southeast ish of Columbus in the hills.
Yeah.
Big hippie
And they're
town.
they're one of your faves.
Yeah. It's like the Ithaca of Ohio.
Oh, fun. Is it like a little blue dot on the electoral map?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Big hippie town.
Funny. Okay. That sounds fun.
So yeah, I'm meticulously making my way through some of these older beers, and that's okay. I guess it happens. Another one down.
Yeah.
Like I'm nervous because I've got like a 2017 Dark Lord in the basement that who knows what it's going to taste like. But
is Dark Lord
that's like one of the OG. It's a Three Floyds coffee stout that you used to. You can still only get at their Dark Lord Day death metal music festival.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was the one that was one of the original beers that nerds would go nuts over.
That sounds like something Brother Jeremy would enjoy going to that festival.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to remember some of the bands that were there when we were there. Goat Whore was one of the bands we saw there. Goat Whore. Oh man, I gotta let me just Google really quick. Dark Lord Day music lineup. Let's see. Yes, I am 21. High on Fire, Abath, Fugitive, 1349, Spirit World, and Cybris.
Okay. Jeremy, when you listen to this, I feel like he listens to it the day it comes out.
Yeah,
whatever.
Jeremy,
when you listen to it in the next couple of days, text us and let us know. Yeah, if you know these, if you know these people.
Yeah, the year I was there, that was Goat Whore was the only band I remember.
That's a pretty great name.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's a blast of a festival, and it's only gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. It's just one giant beer share. Like, basically, the group I went with paid this guy who's down the block who has a warehouse. We each paid him like $50. We had known him from years past, and he let us set up on his property with a tent and like set up food, and he let us use his bathroom. And then he also owned a restaurant, so later in the day, he like brought us food, which was amazing. But we paid him probably collectively like $400. We set up, everyone just sat at our tents for 10 hours that day, drinking, having fun, playing games, shooting the shit. And then when your ticket time comes up, you go into the festival, get your beer. You can hang out and drink in there too if you want. You can go see the music, or in our case, we went back and napped in our chairs for a bit before our drive back to the hotel.
Yeah, so, that sounds fun. Nice.
So, Colin, what do you got? It looked like an American IPA.
Nice.
Yeah, not hazy. It's a sour.
It's not an IPA. It's sour.
It's a sour. Yeah, that's my second guess. Kettle soured beer.
I don't think it's a kettle. But yeah, Peel Good Inc. This is from Birdsong Brewing. The first, I'm pretty sure it's the first brewery I ever had a beer from here in Charlotte.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, even before we moved here, we visited, and somehow we ended up there. And there was I think I said the story before. Toddy really liked this jalapeno pale ale, and I liked it too. And she got it shipped like 1 year for my birthday when we were still living in Syracuse and everything. But yeah, it's really good. I love blood orange, so anytime I can get a little taste of that, but it feels pretty crisp, and it's definitely more tart than sour, so I like that when it comes to sour. But yeah, I'm not drinking an IPA. This is what is left of it.
All right.
Yeah.
Does kind of look hazy in that light. But...
yeah, a little bit in the light. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really quickly, I just saw a meme that one of the baseball pages I follow shared. I don't know if you can see it or not. Donald Trump has named Ipe Mizuhara as his Secretary of Treasury. That's a pretty good one. Whoever came up with that.
Wow.
That's pretty funny. So, anyways, we don't need to talk any more about that, but I just thought that was pretty funny.
Roasted.
Yeah. But no, that's nice. That's nice. What was the name of the brewery there, Kyle, that you said?
Birdsong.
Birdsong. I like that. That's nice.
Yeah, it's a cool little spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't get to go there a whole lot, but they do a lot of canning in the grocery stores and things like that. So
yeah. Nice. Sweet. What else?
I think this is a very muted, and we're kind of
if we had done last week, I mean, last Wednesday, I was like a fucking ghost of myself, a shell of myself. I was like, it was like the worst hangover of all time. I was just like a fucking monotone zombie. I had to teach did I tell you guys I'm teaching a second music appreciation class for the rest of the semester? So I'm teaching 2 now.
No.
I took over for a colleague who's on parental leave, and so her class meets Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 2, and mine is Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 4. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have like these 2 afternoon lectures, and on Wednesday, I had both classes, and in the class for my colleague who I'm taking over for, I'm just following her plans, right? And so I talked about, well, no, she has really good plans, so I'm okay with doing it. But like the topic for the day and the slides she sent me was about essentially emotion and music, and the way she titled it is amplifying and neutralizing emotions in music. So music as something as something that like amplifies our emotions and increases our emotions, or music as something that like neutralizes our emotions, something that we listen to kind of bring us back down if we're really upset or really fired up or whatever. And then my lecture in my class was jazz. I was talking about like kind of going through jazz history and stuff. Skiddly do, yeah, exactly. Now normally I would love talking about both of these things, right? But on Wednesday, man, I at the end of the day, I was like, those were definitely not my best lectures. I was trying to show up, and I was trying not to just be like jazz, New Orleans, improvisation. I was trying not to do that, but it was difficult.
Number 1, it went better than you thought it did. Number 2, you're human still. Number 3, let me submit that you should have done like amplifying emotions. Rachmaninoff.
Yeah.
Or amplifying emotions. The Music and Life of Zach De La Rocha and Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting. So the thing is I deliberately made a choice not to bring anything up, because these classes now, obviously, a small percentage shows up, but there are over 200 registered to both mine and to my colleagues. Over 200 people registered. Now, depending on the day, in both classes, anywhere from probably like 30 to 60 people actually show up, right? If I had to guess. But even that amount of people, even 50 to 60 people, even at a college, Remember, this is a state school in Colorado where a lot of people here are not from Boulder and Denver. A lot of people are from different parts of the state. And so some people were probably devastated about the election like us. Some people were probably fucking elated about the election. And then some people were probably indifferent. And so I made a deliberate decision not to bring it up at all. I did think, to your point, Matt. So one of my favorite punk bands, I don't know if I ever showed you guys, is called Pup. They're out of Toronto. PUP. It stands for Pathetic Use of Potential.
Yeah.
And they have this song that's basically like about a breakup, about an old relationship, and it's called Old Wounds. And it's like just 2 minutes of just like fucking like punching you in the face and like screaming and just, but it's like an amazing song. And I thought about playing that for them because that was kind of reflecting like how I was feeling, you know. But no, I ended up just kind of following my colleague's plan and everything like that. But anyways, yeah, this just made me think like, yeah, it's been kind of muted tonight, but a week ago, I think it would have been like, 10 times worse, at least for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to find that Rachmaninoff piece to try and give.
I wonder
Colin a
which
feel.
one you were. So Matt, the most famous Rachmaninoff pieces, what you are probably thinking of is either the C sharp minor prelude or the second concerto. Would be my guess. Those are like his two most famous pieces.
I'm thinking it's the prelude. I do know the number 2 is boom, 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 like where she's like you're always going down to the end at the start. I'm thinking that's the prelude though. Which is just a boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, that's the C sharp minor prelude. Exactly. Yeah. It's got a very, very famous opening. It goes A, G sharp, C sharp, and then it's got these huge chords that kind of just keep going. These big, massive chords. Very dramatic piece. Yeah. So definitely.
Here we go, Colin. Once we get by this sponsored content. No. That's
the G minor prelude.
No,
which is an
this.
amazing piece, but that's not the one we're thinking of.
Yeah.
$7 Lux Craving Box has the Gordita Supreme? What is this thing?
Stupid bullshit.
Why don't you? What are you playing it on?
YouTube.
Oh,
there we go.
Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Just like the most evil, sad,
very ominous.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Very, very ominous opening. Yeah.
I used to know more about classical music.
This is what people come here for. What other podcast are you gonna get? Baseball, Giants, football, and fucking Rachmaninoff. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What a delightful mix. And beer, beautiful, just amazing.
I mean, we're here for the people, really.
Yeah, we're here to serve the people.
We're probably
if we're
serving the people than Donald Trump is.
I mean, that's an unfairly low bar. I mean, I am taking refuge in memes, and I mean that's not a place you can live, but like,
no. For temporary relief, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Today I saw one that it was a guy following the Google search trends of like what are tariffs and Donald Trump tax plan, and he was singing along like, you should have looked at this before. You're gonna pay for it. You're gonna pay for it. We're gonna all pay for it. And it's just like yeah.
I saw a thing
anytime before last Tuesday. But okay.
Yep. I saw a thing right after the election, like within the first couple of days, where some, like, I don't know if it was like a focus group person or a poll person or whatever, or a journalist maybe, was talking to like a Trump voter, and this is after the election, and the Trump voter was like, oh, yeah, the tariffs, I didn't know we were going to pay for them. I thought China was going to pay for them. And it was just, I'm terrified to think how many terrified. I didn't even realize. I'm terrified to think how many of the how many people, like 75 million, 76 million people voted for him. How many of them thought the
dumb
same
fucks.
exact thing and have no idea about the like tariffs or any of his other positions and what it would actually mean in real life, you know?
So I have one associate at work who's a super Trumper, and I had this conversation with him a couple weeks ago that I was
Okay.
like, let's call him Jim. And I said, Jim, like, let's politics aside, let's talk about tariffs. Right. So tariffs are used to protect homegrown industries. That's the initial use, right? By making foreign products more expensive. So let's take something we use at work. Jim, the iron oxide colorant that we use to color our mulch red. We get all of our iron oxide from China. There is no good source for us to get it here. There is no domestic iron oxide mulch dye manufacturing industry here. It just comes from China. It was subject to tariffs last time around, too. So we only get it from China. If those tariffs come back here, that means the price that Scott pays for it goes up. It means we are buying it for more. And I said, and you've worked for Scott's long enough, Jim, to know that if Mr. Hagedorn has prices go up, he's not going to just absorb that out of the goodness of his heart, right? That means the cost of the mulch in the store that we make with this iron oxide is going to go up probably about the same that we paid more for this iron oxide. So who ends up paying for that in the end? We do. Scott pays the tariff. We pay the higher prices because of that. There is no domestic iron oxide industry that could come in and supply it to us instead of China for lower than the combined cost of tariff plus goods from China. No, there is nothing there. It just is a punitive measure now on our economy. And that is why the prevailing economic theory is that tariffs are bad. We want, and I left it there. I mean, I could have gone further, but it's just like trying to get very basic. I said, this is not about anybody's policies. This is about what a tariff does on a macroeconomic level.
That's
and how a
one of the
billionaire is going
sad-
to react to it, right? Like our billionaire boss isn't going to pay that himself. He's going to pass it on to the consumer.
And one of the sad things about this specifically, and honestly, this is a big thing that Trump talks about in general, right? Talking about supporting American jobs and American manufacturing, and talking about tariffs and everything, and like what you're talking about, Matt, about the original kind of point and use of tariffs. Like, if we think about America as a country that is producing a lot through manufacturing and is primarily a manufacturing economy and things like this, then it's actually like, I get it. It's a really appealing idea. The problem is, Trump is at least 30 years too late. NAFTA happened in like 1994. The Pacific Trade Agreement already happened. We became an information technology economy a long time ago. There's still plenty of manufacturing in this country, but it is nothing like what it was in the mid 20th century or before. Nothing like that. So this idea of tariffs and saving American jobs is just too little, too late. We don't have these jobs to save, like what you're talking about with this iron oxide. Obviously, that's like a very specific example, but it's just not the same as what it would have been in like 1965 or something.
Well, and the other half of this is I don't want a domestic iron oxide industry. I don't want people in this country making cheap mulch dye chemicals. And iron oxide it's just rust, but it's a way it's processed into dye. I mean, we don't want to put anything actually bad on them, like red number 40 on the mulch. We want to put it's just rust. It's harmless. It's not toxic, but right. I want those resources that you think we should be spending on iron oxide to be making semiconductors. I want them to be making high value chemicals that drive our economy forward. If they can make it cheaper, then prevailing theory says they should make it, because that means they are used, like we have our resources to make stuff that is more valuable. Period.
Yeah.
Like the only reason, mulch bucks that trend because you can't ship mulch over an ocean, but you got to make that locally. But
yeah,
anyway,
but like that just really resonated with me, Matt, because one of the things I've been thinking about a lot since last Tuesday is sort of the way forward, and how my tendency for the last 8 years, and I think a lot of people's tendency who are left of center, especially further left, is to say that anyone who voted for Trump ever is an irredeemable, moronic piece of shit, and that's it, and leave it like that. And I have been guilty of thinking that sometimes. And I have been trying really hard, especially recently, to kind of remind myself that that's not actually the case. I know some people who voted for Trump at one time or another, or multiple times. And I know that they are not irredeemable, moronic pieces of shit, not all of them. And so trying to understand and trying to think of like the common humanity and the connections. And what you're talking about, Matt, I 100% understand. I am, as you guys both know, I am the son of a person who has made his entire career as a union laborer, as a union person, and his grandfather before him, same thing. Now, granted, the union is separate. Like, the union is its own thing. That's its own kind of can of worms for a lot of people. But point being, whether you were union or not, many people for many generations were able to make a solid living in manufacturing, in manual labor, in any number of things, including my grandpa. He worked in a factory in Rome, New York as a union worker for this, let's see, what would it have been? He got married. He was like 21 in like 1957. So figure from like the 50s through the 80s, give or take a bit. He was a union worker in a factory in fucking a tiny city in upstate New York. And he made
Where do
an
you work? Rum
okay
Cable?
living. Fuck. Jeremy's going to yell at me for not being able to remember. Is Revere's not Syracuse, is it?
I don't remember.
It might be Revere. That might be the name of the place. But point being that, like, when we talk about this and when we talk about Trump voters and this kind of idea of American jobs and keeping good American jobs here and not sending them overseas, like, I understand that instinct very, very well. It's just, again, it's just this it's too little too late, and just this kind of lack of overall education about what has happened in the last 30 years. Like, we're past that. Those jobs still exist in some capacity, but it's not like what it was for our parents' generation, let alone our grandparents' generation. But point being, like, I find that to be a really kind of important and powerful example, because I feel like I do genuinely understand. Like, there are other perspectives that these voters have, and conservative voters in general have, that are kind of unthinkable for me, that I can't truly wrap my head around, right? But this is one of those that I really can. I can genuinely connect with this. I can genuinely relate to it. So I think it's like, I'm glad you brought it up. I think it's like a really good and important example.
Yeah. It's, I as someone who tries to always logically approach things, right? Like, unfortunately, that's not, the emotion's going to rule the election, right? So,
Yeah.
people hear fucktard Elon get up there and say, I think I can cut $2 trillion from the budget. $2 trillion. Yeah, I could do that.
And they just believe him.
Department of, like, you could fire 100% of government employees, everyone on the government payroll, and you would still not save $2 trillion. Like,
yeah.
Sorry, like, you know how you save $2 trillion? Cut the military, the defense budget in half. Like, that's probably the best.
And also start taxing
Yeah.
rich people.
Well, he's just talking about eliminating line items from the budget, right?
Just eliminating stuff. Okay.
Yeah. So stuff like that. It's like, man, I really wish there was just an ounce more of critical thinking. Now, on the opposite side, another great meme I saw was talk about, like, I think we joked about this before, like, the Trump advertising signs around here that just say, like, Trump low prices, Kamala high prices, like, just these, like, really caveman style signs around here.
Yeah.
But
and I think that actually works for, yeah.
Well, it's to say, to some extent, like, I will make your milk cheaper resonates,
and they believe it. Yeah.
Over the fact that, like, an explanation, and this is the meme, like, well, macroeconomically speaking, like, milk is actually has not been affected by inflation as much as other products, because it's governed by the mercantile exchange rates for milk and how it's purchased in the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and therefore, really, when you look at how milk is compared to everything else that you grow, milk is in line with general price increases that you'd see over an 8 to 10 year period. So really, milk's not that bad. There's other things you can focus on in the economy. Like, no one's going to care about that. Like,
no.
nope.
They know that milk and eggs is more expensive now than it was 4 years ago or 8 years ago. And they're going to say, well, Biden was in charge these last 4 years. I keep hearing about inflation in the news, and I bought eggs for $5 or $6 the other day, and so I'm gonna vote the opposite, and that's that.
No.
There's no thinking about how those prices might be brought down, or overall economic policies, right? There is no thought about that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, guess what? Mass deportations of 12 million, that would cause the GDP to shrink 3 to 5%.
Yeah, that's the other thing. God.
But
I mean, these people are
save
doing
the economy. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Just removing what those people are going to consume and what their work would add to the economy, right? Like, it's a man, I almost wish you were voting on just the Second Amendment over this kind of stuff, because at least I can maybe rationalize your thoughts there instead of like, ooh, man, like this is you just bought a lemon from a used car salesman, like, and this is going to continue the trend. And I'm sorry, I'm not taking this political, but like, this is now another cycle of a Republican president inheriting a fairly good economy, despite what people say. Like, inflation was coming down for months in a row until this October. Jobs were still strong. Interest rates were coming down, right? A Republican is inheriting a fairly good economy that was fixed by a Democrat doing the hard things after a Republican wrecked it. So think about Biden kind of getting things back on track after. Now, again, can't blame it all on Trump. COVID did a lot, but Trump was part of that. You think about, he inherited Obama's incredibly strong economy, which was brought back in line after the bailouts of 2008. Again, can't blame that 100% on Bush, but it was a Republican who funded Iraq wars and drove up the debt and crashed the economy, that then Obama took over and reversed the unemployment trend and got things back on track with quantitative easing, right? Bush inherited the Clinton economy. Like, so, yeah. But no one wants to hear that, well, we need to raise taxes and slightly curtail expenses to make sure that we're fiscally responsible. No, everyone wants tax cuts. They want their cake and fucking eat it too.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm mad. I wish I had a beer that I fucking didn't sour. Oh, I need a beer.
Oh, yeah, you didn't go and grab a replacement, did you?
No.
Oh, man. So, hey, did either of you ever read The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck?
Yeah.
You did, Matt?
That was we had to for honors English in high school.
Oh, I don't remember having to read it. If we were supposed to, I never read any of it.
That was 10th
but I'm
grade.
reading it.
Oh, no, maybe it was AP. It might have been AP.
Okay, maybe AP. I took AP English.
10th grade.
I took AP English with Savakul with you in senior year, right?
Language was, I think, 11th, going to 11th.
Yeah, that I didn't do. I just did like honors. But in any case, I've been meaning to read it for years. My dad has talked about it, and obviously it's widely considered one of the great masterpieces. My partner had read it and thinks very highly of it. And I decided, it's like the Dust Bowl, the Depression. It's like horribly depressing by all accounts.
What? You haven't read it yet?
Never read it, but I finally decided to do it. So, I'm doing it now.
Good Lord, you missed the joke behind one of the most funny South Park episodes out there.
Oh, heading out California way?
Yeah, going out California way to find the internet.
I knew that anyways because I knew about the Dust Bowl. So I understood that joke anyways. Woody Guthrie, the Dust Bowl. Woody Guthrie's my boy. You know this.
But there's a couple like shot
are
for
they
shot
like more
scenes,
specific?
Like
that I didn't
the campfire
know. Okay.
scene, like where
I haven't gotten to any campfire, so
Yeah,
I'm saying, I mean, I know the episode. Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that there were like some straight references to the book in that episode.
Yeah, to the book and to the movie that they shot. Now
that's funny. I didn't know that.
I won't spoil the end of the book, but just.
Oh, I'm prepared. I understand.
Be prepared for sadness.
I know where we're going. But it was a weird choice because it was like the election happened, and obviously I was not feeling great. and of course everybody here knows my political persuasions in the first place, and so it's like, on one hand, it's kind of strange to be like, okay, now's the time to read Grapes of Wrath. Let's just pour some fuel on the fire, you know. But it just felt right. So I'll keep everybody posted. I know that everybody is going to be really eager to hear my review once I'm done. So,
I mean, if you want, I've got some great podcasts if you ever want some more fuel for the fire. So,
oh god, maybe when I'm at my height of masochism. So, yeah. All right.
Sure, this is a good time to stop. To curtail your drinking.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Not
I'm
sure.
just kidding.
Not sure about that.
I am very happy. I am going to be embarking on a similar. Like, there's a reason I'm trying to empty these
Clear
old
out the cellar.
beers out of the cellar. Right, like over the weekend at a just a random hole in the wall shop, I found 2 amazing sours, and I was like, oh my god, I've never seen these on the shelf before. And I had both in my hand, and I was like, oh, I got to put one back. I got to be better.
Wow,
shit.
That's pretty remarkable self-control.
So, yeah.
Holy shit.
I kept one, but I was like, man. Matt, 5 years ago, I'm like, fuck it, I'm buying them both. Like, they're mine.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Always got to have an act out.
Yep.
But Ethan was just trying to gracefully wrap it up, and I ripped it right back out of there. So
no, it's good. It's good. Kyle, you got any closing statements to make?
I'll do my shout outs. First shout out is to cousin Greg's second oldest, Gaetano. When I was in Scranton a couple weekends ago, I was in Philly and Scranton, PA, for my cousin TJ's wedding. Congrats, TJ.
Yay, TJ, Mazel Tov.
Yeah, still an idiot. And when as soon as Greg walked in we were at his sister Kristen's house, my cousin Kristen, and Gaetano was with him, and he's like, he was listening to a random podcast, one of our podcast episodes recently or whatever, and he was like, you guys are pretty good. So I can't remember exactly what he said, but I told him he can come on whenever he wants, and whatever. So Greg, tell him the invite still exists. And brother Jeremy.
Oh, fuck
I have mine.
Yep.
Yeah,
I sent him a picture.
I got my copy downstairs.
A few days ago. So haven't spun it yet, but I'm ready to spin it pretty soon here.
Yeah.
I'm sure it sounds as good as it does on Spotify anyway. But yeah, wanted to give a shout out to brother Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Yeah. Those are mine.
I'll shout out the CSU Rams, who are the football team is playing Wyoming this Friday in the Border War, one of the great college football rivalries. Last year, I was at the Wyoming game, working in Wyoming with the marching band, and they lost.
Is that when you were sandwich man?
Yes. Yep.
Yes. That's what I remember. Like you were saying, I had to pinch it this week for the marching band. I'm in charge of the sandwiches or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had to do a bunch of
but it's awesome. Yeah, like you were the glue man.
Had to order a bunch of fucking food for like 250 college kids. Yeah, it was
anyway, I interrupted. Sorry.
This time I'm not working, thankfully, but Wyoming is like 0-7 or something this year, and CSU is like 6-3. So hopefully the Rams are going to take it home. Also, the game is Friday at 6 p.m. College football, I know, more often on Saturday, but it's on Friday at 6 p.m. And because campus is going to be such a crazy clusterfuck, I'm not teaching either of my classes, so I'll give a shout out for that as well, because I get the day off from lecturing. So let's go Rams.
Now, what preeminent NFL quarterback that probably should have been, drafted by the Giants came from Wyoming?
Oh, I feel like I knew this at one point.
Allen?
Is it one of the Joshes?
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, like the Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills.
The Josh Allen. Yep.
Wow, really? Wyoming?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
But Daniel Jones has got a great frame, so.
Yeah.
I think they were saying the same thing about Allen, too, to be honest.
Man,
yeah,
Allen
I know he was. They talked about his arm strength and how big he was. But,
yeah.
Yeah, oof.
Hilarious. Yeah, Wyoming, how about that?
So yeah, he was taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks after Sasquatch.
Okay.
When was
Wow.
Daniel Jones drafted?
6th, right?
2019, 2018,
19.
19.
Whatever happened to
Yep,
Josh Rosen? Wasn't he
6th.
the same draft? I remember there being 2 Joshes.
Yeah,
Was he a
terrible.
bust? It's too bad. He's
He's
Jewish. He
Cardinals,
looks
I
like one of
think.
my cousins. He
um,
really does.
yeah, he was taken
Also named
10th.
Josh,
Yeah.
actually. Who was Allen?
Rosen.
Rosen.
I don't know if I got a shout out. I don't know. Nothing really big has happened in the past couple days, so I don't know.
I was just gonna say I'll give a shout out to Matt since he's not gonna say.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea, Kyle. Yeah.
Congrats to Matt and Sam. They got engaged over the weekend, and we're definitely very happy for both of you. And
Yeah.
She actually did tell me to say thank you to you guys for being part of the Amazing Race. So there's a Patreon subscriber only secret episode out there for anyone who wants to subscribe to our Patreon and get access to the secret episode that was used as part of my proposal weekend plans. I mean, it was a typical episode. Colin didn't say much. Ethan got to
babble a lot,
to talk about some Jewish stuff,
obscure Jewish stuff,
ridiculous things, and kind of just rambled like I am right now. So
it really was pretty standard. Yeah,
it was pretty regular.
Yeah. But no, it was the proposal though. We won't go into all the details, but Matt went all out. It is really beautiful and intricate, and so we're very happy.
And thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for helping.
Forward to what's that?
So thank you, gentlemen, and thank you for helping.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Anytime. And we're definitely looking forward to
the party.
Next steps whenever you are ready.
TBD.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
Nice.
Well, next time we'll come back. It'll be December, and
holy shit.
Yeah, we'll be all fired up then. And Juan Soto will hopefully have been signed by a team, and we'll lead it off with that.
Yeah,
so,
I wonder.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Sweet.
Well, till next time, we are
unable to beat Ohio State.
Hurts, but they're still the number 4 team in the country.
Oh no, I know. We're still kicking. So it looked